let's work on modifiers. So from previous lesson, we need to show our center lines at least, so that we have some guides. All right. So I'm going to object mode, select the camera, go to the camera property panel, expand, or we can just put a check mark on save title. Okay. And under viewport display, I'm going to scroll down here and then turn on our centers. Composition guides, center. Okay, so let's go back to our stroke, which is the grease pencil object. Let's go back to draw mode, and I'm going to select ink. All right. Let's talk about modifiers. So the modifier panel is this wrench looking icon. Okay. And you simply add the modifier to what you want to do. So basically this modifies the object, and there's certain things that you can modify that would enhance or speed up your animation or your background building, so on and so forth. Okay. So we're not going to cover all of them. It's just what's useful for our projects here, which is array, build, envelope at some capacity, yeah, a line art, mirror for sure. Okay, and we have multiple strokes right here that can, it's just like cloning it. Okay, we also have noise that we can use, build. The rest right here, very similar to what you can do with sculpting, but you're applying it for everything. All right, so we'll get to this one eventually. Okay, so hopefully we can kind of cover those and not drag on too long. All right, so let's start with our mirror first. Let's add a mirror. All right, and I have my center line right here, so this is the X cut right here, so whatever mirroring drawing will be mirrored left to right. So let's say we have and it'll display as soon as you let go. Okay, there you go. All right, if I have it on Y only, oh sorry, Z. Okay, Y is the in and out, which you can't see, but it's actually there because if I rotate my camera, okay, and we did drawing along the Y, okay, I have to change my side right there. There it is. So there's the Y axis. You can't see that when you're in camera mode because it's a flat 2D. All right, so anyway, let's click induce here, and kind of self-explanatory what the mirror axis is. So you can create characters that are symmetrical at first. Okay, and later on you wanted to kind of change the symmetry, and you do want to change your character to whatever it is that you want, maybe add a scar or whatever. Okay, you can then apply this, but in order to apply this you have to be in object mode. So we are in sub-object right now of grease pencil because we're drawing. So you have to go to object mode first. Okay, now that we're in object mode, it's like you can freely select any object in your collection. Now we can apply this. The mirror goes away. It is finalized. Okay, so your mirror now is gone. So if I go to draw mode, so on and so forth, right? You can't have it, but you can add imperfection to this now, add a mold to this guy, put a scar right there, so on and so forth. You need another mirror, you simply reapply it. Okay, and those are applied right there. This is how we delete the modifier. We can temporarily turn off a modifier. Okay, and we can select not to render that modifier, and we can be in edit mode while the modifier is on. Okay, all right, so that's the mirror modifier. All right, so let's get rid of that. Okay, and let's see if I can click enough undos here to get rid of my drawing. I don't know if I have. We can just delete it. Yeah, let's just delete it. Stroke. All right, so draw another one. Okay, so let's draw, let's say, like a fence. I'm in ink. All right, so I'm gonna be using, well, I guess I could have used the some 3D here, but yeah, let's just draw it. I need it a little bit straight, so I'm going to go to my stabilized stroke right here. I do want a little bit of imperfection right here, so to give it that kind of drawn effect. And I don't want that little extra line right there, so I do want to move or delete some of these points. So maybe that one, press G. Okay, there we go. Go back to draw mode. Okay, let's use array, add array. Okay, and if I'm going to minimize mirror right here so we can concentrate on array. The count is the number of array you want to add in there. So if you're building kind of like a fence or whatnot. Okay, you have a offset right here. The factor is 1 unit, so if I increase that factor along the X, it gives it a little bit of separation right there. If you want it to go up and down instead of X only, you can go to Z, so it can go up. So that depends on your what you want to kind of duplicate with an array. You can also do Y, even though we don't see Y because it's a flat orthographic look with your drawing, right? However, the grease pencil camera is the same as the Blender 3D camera. By default, it's perspective. So if we push these guys back, they're gonna look like they're shrinking, and it looks like you're having perspective distance right there, because actually that's what's happening. So if I rotate the camera here, you can tell that they move back, and the size difference that you're seeing while in camera mode, it's actually accurate with perspective. So you're pushing those back. So if you were to animate any of this, you'll have like a parallax effect. So if since we moved them Y to the back, right, I can now go back here in factor X, and I can tuck those away from the back like so, and we could animate stuff like that. So kind of cool stuff for motion graphics and whatnot, where you can hide stuff in the back and then you can animate. Everything is animatable because, you know, that's your keyframing right there. All right, so let's not animate it. All right, so that's array. And you can have a way to kind of pivot where it's going to be. There's more option of course here. You can have a constant offset so that it's always incrementing in the same value. You can also randomize it. Okay, you can randomize it. That's what you want. Again, for motion graphics, this is quite useful. Okay, so that's array. Let's get rid of it. Again, if you go to object mode and then apply it, it becomes permanent, and then that's your entire object. It won't be just one. However, let's open this up real quick, and let's not mess it up. Okay, anything you draw, because it's only coming from the first one, right? So if I'm still drawing here, anything that I add to this, oops, let me get rid of my stabilized stroke. Anything I add to this drawing right here, all the other ones would simply mimic. Okay, and I do have the mirror still in there. Okay, and then if we go to object mode, apply mirror and apply array, this is now a single object. Okay, it's a single object that we can manipulate. And go to edit right here, select all of them, and we can rotate, move, scale as a single object now. All right, so only apply it when you're really happy with your result and you don't want to make any more changes. You want to finalize it. All right, so that's one, that's two right there. So mirror, array. Let's start a new one. All right, let's go to our ink. All right, let's go with build. This is probably one of the cooler modifier that we have. Okay, so let's do let me try and writing something here. All right, I failed at that, but anyway, you get the point. I need my wrist, I can't draw pretty quick, so let me do it again. All right, and doubling up on those ones. Anyway, okay, so let's put the build modifier. What the build modifier is, it has certain options right here. Sequential, concurrent, additive, don't worry about those. Transition, grow, shrink, or vanish. So grow is from the beginning. So if I tap the space bar right now or hit play, it builds it depending on the order of my drawing. Okay, that's kind of cool, right? So we're going to use this for our studio logo project. All right, so if I reverse that with shrink, it's already showing at the beginning and it disappears. Makes sense? If I go with vanish, it disappears, but it keeps the other drawing active at the beginning. All right, so, and that is it. Really cool modifier for something that you build up. Okay, and you can have multiple ways of actually extending this. You can extend the length, you can make it appear slower or faster depending on the frames. So it's because the default's 100 frames. All right, and then you can of course change thickness. You can do all sorts of things with your animation, and you can combine this with mirror, you can combine this with array, all the other ones. So I suggest the ones you're practicing with this, slap them in there, put them in there, see what they do, and you might come out with a really cool effect. Okay, so building up from this, no pun intended with the build, once you let's say we did grow, once it's done like so, what's going to happen to it is you want probably some hang time or some padding at the end. You don't want to stop what you're showing right away. Let's say a studio logo, you showed it and then you want it to stay there for at least, let's say 3 seconds, so people can actually read all this stuff and see all the kind of detail. Okay, but it has this kind of static look. Doesn't look like it's hand animated, because as soon as you're done playing, it becomes static. Okay, so we can add another modifier to this. All right, which is noise. So noise by default is position is 0.5, which is kind of noisy, but look at the effect here. All right, you see it, it's kind of has this weird kind of movement to it. Okay, not looking too good right here. However, if you tone this down to, let's say 0.1, okay, kind of subtle, it has that slight kind of movement that it looks like it's kind of hand drawn, and you're not being perfect with your lines. That's still too much, so we're going to go with 0.02, even more subtle than the first one. Okay, there it is. There's that kind of, you see this on animation ending where they put fin or the end, and it's slightly kind of moving because they hand drew the entire process, and they just copy and paste until it has this kind of moving look to it. All right, so combination with build and noise, you can create some really cool look to it. And you can change you can change parameters right here. You can vary which one you'll want the effect to be. Totally up to you. You can lower the strength or increase the strength, make it even worse. Okay. All right, so again, we've seen this before, right? Strength and thickness with sculpt. So instead of doing it on particular part of your line art, this one again, it's kind of like overall. So you see this kind of repeating where you could see a lot of the same kind of factor is applied to most modifiers. So that's the build and noise modifier. Okay, start another one here. And we'll go with let's see, let's skip line art for now. We'll do that last. Multiple strokes. All right, sorry, let me go to much thicker. Okay, duplicates the distance and spread. Okay, and then the offset. So, and this is animatable, folks. So if I start like so, keyframe it there, and then I go, let's say 40. Okay, that is animated now. Okay. All right, again, motion graphics or any effect that you want to do, or kind of kaleidoscope kind of type effect, and you can combine this with mirror, you can combine this with array, you can kind of see the possibilities. Okay, so that's multiple stroke right there. Outline, this is again, you can animate, well, I didn't even know I put my 3 lines right there. Let's see, probably not the best way to example to kind of put it with that. Let's see, length is kind of like build but per line. Okay, so if we were to add length right here, and then we can scroll on the start and end, it's kind of like build. Okay, but it's per in a way line or stroke. All right, so if you want a little bit more control, because you can have multiple stroke, I can add another. If I go here on object mode, add another grease pencil object blank, so I have a blank one right there. Okay, and I want something here where let's go to that grease pencil. Let's go to draw mode, animate, apply a build modifier to this, so it has its own kind of thing right there. Okay, and I want this to kind of have a build modifier, but I don't want the other stroke to be affected. Then if I go to this stroke right here, no, sorry, Go to object mode first, select stroke, go to draw. Then I can animate a build effect just for this one. So, but build pretty much kind of take over on this, but this one's for individual stroke, but it does kind of like the same thing. Okay. And finally, we're going to showcase line art. This is probably kind of important right now regarding creating backgrounds in 3D and whatnot. Okay. All right. So let's go to Blender 3D. So this is a little bit more kind of advanced if you're just taking 2D animation. Keep in mind Blender and Grease Pencil is the same program. So let's say that's what the camera sees. Okay, looking at this object right here. And you want to create a background, kind of like Tim Burton subdivision style background where the housing is just kind of the same. Okay, so let me quickly just model kind of like a house looking thingamajig here. Okay, so because I do in order for us to kind of appreciate the line art modifier. All right, we used to do exact same thing before manually, but now since they updated Grease Pencil, we no longer need to because it's just a modifier now. Soon it will be AI and we're all going to be out of jobs. Anyway, all right, so let me create kind of like a picture window here. Okay, and maybe a door right here. Well, let's extrude that. Of course, the detail, any of these lines, any lines that it's not flush, you'll get an outline. So you want to make sure when you do this, everything is kind of flat right here. All right, and one more window here, and then we'll be done. Moving this precisely so that we don't have any of those diagonal lines sticking out somewhere. Okay. Yeah, let's just protrude this so as if there's like window frame and whatnot. All right, so there's that. Okay. Next, we're going to click on our camera so the camera sees this. Let's see, what you see is what you get with the lighting. How's our lighting here? It's just the default one, so let me just kind of duplicate that, put that also here. We get some sort of shadow. Yeah, that's good enough. There's a shadow right there. We'll go to add a Grease Pencil object, a blank one. Okay. By doing that, we're now able to access, if we're on Grease Pencil, we can go, Grease Pencil would have, under Draw, remember the default color, so we have black stroke, simply means we can draw black, okay? So that means we can add a modifier called Line Art. Now it's asking, hey, what do you want to make a line art of? You can have just a single object or the entire scene. So we want the entire scene. Okay. And which layer where you want do you want this to be? We only have one layer because we added a blank one. Okay. And what is the color? Black. There it is. It's kind of crazy. Look, kind of like Into the Spider-Verse. It created an outline. And this can be converted into a Grease Pencil object, meaning I could actually extract those lines and create kind of like a 3D object. But this is based on the camera projection, okay? All right, then I can change the line thickness. Okay. Opacity, you probably don't want to do that. You can change you can do a silhouette, okay, which will take it won't factor in all the lines right there. It kind of gives it this kind of broken, kind of unfinished kind of look. Okay. What else here? We'll leave this as it is. These are pretty much when if we have another object and we don't want to make them well, sometimes you have to change some parameters here because there's a lot of collision. Okay, there's a lot of in front lines and whatnot, and you can kind of clean it up. Okay, but for now we'll leave it like kind of like so. Let me kind of zoom in on this one. And any changes I do to this object would allow me to add more lines to it. Okay, so let's say let me go back to object mode. Let me select the object here, and let's add some crazy details here. Let's see, I select the roof right there, and then I'm going to subdivide this. For some reason, let's say we want to subdivide this. Okay, and then I want all of those to be kind of like tiles sticking out. Okay, I'm gonna go with my extrude right here, extrude individual. Okay, and I'm gonna change it to individual origins. I'm gonna scale them. All right, hit tab. There you go, kind of like a tiled roof effect. I can even duplicate this, and there's the Tim Burton subdivision. Okay, or very similar to what we just learned, we also have an array. Okay, now it's definitely Tim Burton land with this one. Let's put 5, put him on the other side. Okay, and we also want them going backwards. No, we're just gonna, because you can array this and add another array. Put that on 0, but move it. Oh, sorry, undo. This is the array I want to mess with, 0, and then put it in the back. So, and you can have, because it's an array of an array. Be careful with this, your computer will crash, but hey, there's your instant 2D background. But depending on your camera angle, of course, you can have an aerial view kind of like this. Set up your camera. Sorry, there you go. Composition guides. Let's do harmony. Let's see, can we see them? Yeah, it's kind of slightly right here. You can follow kind of like the angle. All right, or this angle right here. Okay, well, you're not going to see the texture that I built right there. It's pretty simple. Looks like a Kit Kat roof. All right, and you can put color on this one, and then, because if you render this, I mean, that's what you're going to get with the line art in there, and you can extract those. Okay. All right, let's say you want to animate it, right? And you just want to make sure that you can apply at some capacity here. It's probably killed the computer. Let's go back to our grease pencil. Okay, remember we can add more modifier to this, and we'll have a lesson just on this one, especially for 2D animation too. A lot of our students will need this to, so that they can concentrate on working on their foreground, not their background. All right, let's add an array. Not an array. Sorry, noise. Noise. Remember, position is too much. So if we play this, there you go. It looks like hand animated. Let's go with 0.05 to make it a little bit subtle. There we go. Your mileage may vary depending on how subtle the look that you want. Let's say you want a little bit more of an animated live background, like hand-drawn style. And of course, you can add a noise modifier to each one, and so that they're not all performing at the same time. Then you can change the noise seed, basically the randomizer, so they don't all kind of pulsate at the same time. You can even animate position right here, make it even more subtle and make it kind of drastic, and then dial it back down. You can even change the strength, okay, so that you get kind of variation on the strength of the color, okay, a little bit of opacity and whatnot. And then you can even change some of the thickness, so you get a little bit more randomizing. It just goes crazy from there, and depending on what kind of look you want. Okay, but definitely we're in the territory of the uncanny valley of 2D animation and 3D, where cell shading is involved. Okay, but again, depending on what you're trying to do, because I just made really perfect looking straight line houses right here. If you got a little more stylized model, that will definitely play a part in making it more seamless with your 2D animation style. Okay, again, try and be careful with this. If you have a high density 3D model, you might crash, so be careful. Make sure you have enough RAM and be able to do it. All right, so that's just kind of like a crash course on modifiers and grease pencils. You can see there's a lot more, but I only showcase what we need in class and what we use the most, especially this one. So we'll have a full lesson just on the line art right here, and a little bit of a 3D modeling for the 2D animation students that might not take any of my 3D classes. All right.